Welcome to SVG-TV News for Thursday, May 24, 2018. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. Concessionary financing received by this country's government for investment in the harnessing of geothermal energy is projected to result in lower energy prices for consumers. This from Prime Minister Dr. Rav Gonsalves as he responded to a question from the Leader of the Opposition, Dr. Godwin Friday, in the House of Assembly today with respect to the geothermal project. The Prime Minister said the government has been able to obtain grants and concessionary loans from a number of governments and financial institutions to part finance its equity in the $91 million project.
Given the grants and loan concession, in addition to the change of risk profile for the investor, the target tariff looks promising. Although in the project preliminary stages, the project parameters had agreed that the target cost of generation from geothermal will not exceed a ceiling cost of US 18 cents per kilowatt hour. The support from bilateral discussions and donor institutions, from the bilateral entities which we are getting money, and from donor institutions, they have all endorsed this premise, and it is anticipated that the project will result in cheaper electricity for customers given the current oil prices, and we expect it to be below the 18 US cents per hour. This is what we had put early in the agreement as the top maximum.
The geothermal project is a joint venture between Emera Caribbean Incorporated, Reykjavik Geothermal, and the government of SVG, which will harness power from La Soufrière. Dr. Gonsalves said the parties have recently renegotiated the power purchase agreement, which will now see the government owning 49% shares in the project.
The government of St. Vincent and Grenadines will own the geothermal resource and all the benefits derived from it. The electricity generation derived from the energy source will be owned by the St. Vincent Geothermal Company Limited, and this company is incorporated in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And the way in which we have changed, altered as a consequence of when we came originally, it will be 51% owned by Emera and Reykjavik and 49% by us. We have increased our percentage in it through the process of everything. That's why we have to do over portions of the shareholders' agreement. Electricity supplied by the plant will be sold. VINLEC will purchase, and that's why you have the power purchase agreement. The energy, about 72 gigawatt hours, will be sold to the state electricity utility, St. Vincent and Grenadines, St. Vincent Electricity Services Limited, under the power purchase agreement. And this agreement is for a period of 25 years.
The Prime Minister said that June 18th is the target date for the signing of all project agreements. This will pave the way for the continuation of work on the project, which was halted last October. Delinquent taxpayers here have an additional 6 weeks to get their taxes in order, with an extension of the 3-month tax amnesty, which started in February and should have ended on May 15th. The announcement was made today in Parliament by Minister of Finance Camilla Gonsalves, who said the extension was granted based on a request from the 4 largest accounting firms in the country, which asked for more time to bring some of the corporate accounts current.
Advised by the accounting houses that would be sufficient time for them to get their house in order. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to make a full presentation now, only to say that I thank the 469 companies and individuals that have taken advantage of this amnesty period to go into the Inland Revenue Department to bring their accounts current or to make payment arrangements. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, to date, the majority of those people are fairly small arrears in the property area and in corporate income tax. And you recall in the budget debate, there was a discussion in particular about the arrears on VAT and PAYE. And the individuals and companies that are in arrears in VAT and PAYE by this data to date have not yet taken advantage of the amnesty period. I hope that some of those individuals are the ones that are asking for more time with their accountants to get matters sorted.
The finance minister thanked those who have thus taken advantage of the tax amnesty period and urged those who have not yet done so not to wait until it's too late.
I don't want delinquent taxpayers to adopt the logic that we heard today in another matter, to say that if you miss the deadline, might as well wait till next year. I urge them to come as quickly as possible to bring their arrears current, so that we can all pay our part for the development of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
An attempt in Parliament today to have all elected members sign a qualification declaration to comply with a requirement of the Representation of the People's Act failed to get the full support of the House. The declaration is the requirement of Section 62 of the Act and stipulates that every person elected as a member of the House of Assembly shall, before sitting or voting therein, make the declaration of qualification and sign the oath of allegiance. However, while elected members had been taken the oath of allegiance for more than 2 decades, they had not been signing the declaration, which is to indicate that they qualify to sit as MPs. At the last meeting of the House of Parliament, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves drew the omission to the attention of the House, noting that they should rectify it. The elected members on the government side all signed the declaration today, but the elected opposition MPs did not. Opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday said he objected to the entire process as the action in Parliament today was not in compliance with the law.
What I wish to avoid is to compound the problem of having disregarded the legislation to now say that we have a discretion to reinterpret it in a way that means that, you know, whenever, not that it shall be before voting and sitting in the House, but whenever we remember, we should make the oath of declaration. To me, that compounds the problem. I think the proper thing to do is to apply the law as it's intended, which is to say, at the next Parliament, after we've had fresh elections and we've had a new Parliament, that we apply the law as it is intended. Right now, to me, reading Section 62 as if it's discretionary, that we can do it at any time, compounds the problem. It does not solve the problem. It doesn't make us comply, because the law in itself, all that was done here by the members on the other side, to me, is moot, because it does not comply with the law.
Stating profound disagreement with Dr. Friday's position, Dr. Gonsalves said what was compounding the problem was to not correct the error when it was spotted.
We would be compounding the problem if it haven't been drawn to the attention of the House. We neglect to do something about it. That is where the problem would be compounded. You can compound the problem by an act of commission or an act of omission. It is the Honorable Leader of the Opposition who is compounding the problem by an act of omission. It is true, Mr. Speaker, as I indicated to this Honorable House, that since I've been here in 1994, not 98, but I accept, you know, that the error was made in that manner. And it has never been done. I haven't researched the particular genesis of this, but I suspect that there was no such requirement prior to the Representation of the People Act.
In support of his position, PM Gonsalves made reference to a similar case in a previous Parliament having to do with the authorization of expenditure from the Consolidated Fund.
We were in opposition, and the then Honorable Prime Minister, upon the legal advice that he received from that side, from his side of the House, said yes, We must do the estimates first. He said, but we are here where we are now. What do we do? I said, well, we can't change it now. Let us deal with it next year, because everything was already before us, Mr. Speaker. And that is what happened. It was changed. Now, because all the documents were already laid. In this case, Mr. Speaker, this is a simple declaration where we are complying with the provision of the Representation of the People Act.
A multi-million-dollar cocaine shipment said to be destined for St. Vincent was Wednesday morning intercepted by Customs and Excise officers in Trinidad and Tobago. TV6 News arrived at the Queen's Wharf shortly before noon while Customs and Excise officers were securing the cocaine that was found in several boxes to be taken aboard a waiting boat. Cameraman Mike Gonzalez was there along with Mark Besant, who has this report from CCN TV6.
Stashed in coffee bottles, close to $20 million in cocaine weighing 43.9 kilograms were found by officers of the Customs and Excise Division at the Queen's Wharf in Port of Spain on Wednesday. The officers cordoned off the area under a shed to secure the illegal drugs as they set out to weigh it. Customs and police sources familiar with the operation told TV6 News that the cocaine shipment was bound for St. Vincent and the Grenadines and was to be loaded on the Elizabeth II ship that was expected to leave Trinidad in the next 2 days. TV6 News understands that the officers had the shipment under surveillance since Tuesday night. When the boxes were opened, the cocaine was found hidden in coffee bottles. Sources believe that the traffickers had already shipped out a quantity of the cocaine via another vessel and believe they might have interrupted a major trafficking operation. Meanwhile, officers of the airport's authority held a woman with 3.5 kilograms of cocaine hidden in her hand luggage at the Piaco International Airport this morning. The woman was destined for Toronto, Canada. Mark Besant, TV6 News.
A 20-year-old laborer and a 12-year-old student, both of Fitzhugh's, pleaded guilty of stealing Soca Monarch tickets and other items when they appeared before the Kingston Magistrates Court on Monday. The police said they arrested and charged Devon Francois, 20, and a 12-year-old for entering a liquor and provision shop belonging to Jared Williams as trespassers and stealing 8 Soca Monarch tickets valued at 160 EC dollars and other items valued 178 EC dollars and 75 cents. The magistrate ordered the 12-year-old student to undergo 6 months of counseling, while Francois was sentenced to 2 years in prison. Francois, who also was charged for entering the dwelling house of Dexroy Edwards of Fitzhugh's as a trespasser and stealing 218 EC dollars in cash and 300 US dollars, was sentenced to serve 4 years in prison. The sentences will run consecutively. Representatives from the Sustainable Development Unit of the Ministries of Finance and Tourism, as well as other stakeholders, made a site visit to the Mangrove Forest and Nature Park at Brighton today to get a better understanding of the ecosystem there and determine what can be done to protect it. SVGTV's Marvin Olivier was in the field with the team and files this report.
Mangrove forests play an important role in protecting terrestrial and marine life and provide food and other needed resources to mankind. Brighton is home to the only remaining white mangrove forest on mainland SVG, and the Brighton Mangrove Conservation Foundation is doing its part to ensure its survival. Chairman of the foundation, Dr. Gerald Thompson, said the mangrove forest is a unique ecosystem and gave some insight into the work being done to protect it.
From here, we've been assisting in propagating mangrove trees in Richmond, in Cumberland, in Black Point. But here, there's a mature forest with trees that are about 100 feet tall. And I understand this forest has existed for hundreds, if not thousands of years. We're in the process of conserving this forest so that it is there for our posterity. It's there for our children to be aware of and to appreciate. Important function. Mangrove trees clean the water catchment as it comes through. They filter, the roots and so forth filters the water so that the water entering into the sea is a lot more purified than would otherwise be if the mangrove forest is not here. They tend to remove toxins and other things like that. We're always very much aware of heavy metals and so that might be washed down. People throw away car batteries and cosmetics. Well, the mangroves are going to filter that and protect the sea and the creatures of the sea from actually getting that.
Dr. Thompson said the mangrove forest is also home to a rich variety of animal life, which also must be protected.
Range of insects and so on. It's a crab habitat. It's one of the largest crab habitats for the blue crab, and it's one of the sweeter crabs. I think sweeter than the sea crab, you know, and we have thousands of crabs here, and we keep the area very clean to protect them and produce what we call sustainable harvesting. In other words, we do allow people to catch them, but under regulation so that there's not no overcatching of them. The area is rich in iguana, manikou, and other wildlife, and there's some very special birds. There are a couple of black hawks, look like a male and a female, that make this.
The foundation's chairman added that the nature tours serve to educate the public on the natural environment and can assist in the conservation and health promotion efforts.
This is really important because this park is not just about the white mangrove. It's an educational park, geared at educating persons about climate change, geared at educating them about the change in behavior they need to be part of in terms of what they discard, the chemicals, the various things like that, or what they could do in their own backyard in terms of growing fruits and foods. We feature here a lot of fruits that are high antioxidants, super fruits, and we want to encourage people to plant a few trees themselves. Not only will these trees produce food, but also these trees will also help to extract CO2 from the atmosphere and help in our own small island to combat these climate change and greenhouse gases.
As work continues to protect the mangrove forests, it is hoped that the unique ecosystem will not just survive, but thrive. For SVG-TV Evening News, I am Bavin Oliver.
Trinidadian author and activist Sherilyn Gajada is continuing her efforts to empower the public as she speaks out against child abuse. Gajada, who confessed that she too was a victim of abuse, is spearheading a seminar slated for this Saturday, May 26th at the Methodist Church Hall entitled Strengthening Voices of Generations, SVG. The author told SVG-TV News today that the seminar is aimed at raising awareness about child abuse, its impacts on children and the society as a whole, and how persons can strengthen themselves and others.
Child may be abused sexually at the age of 5 years, you know, and my mom used to lock us in this cupboard, and I grew up at a children's home. I spent 10 years there, and I felt I was mute, couldn't speak, didn't know how to come out, you know. And through my books, you know, I am now able to speak out, you know, because my books became a therapy for me. They strengthen the voices of not only children but parents, teachers, social workers, even the community, so that they too can, you know, come out and speak out and be a voice for, you know, the child or children, you know, because we can't always depend, you know, on the government, you know, to do, because we as adults, you know, we are in the community, you know, we need to wake up the community, you know, and teach our children how to yell and tell.
Thanking all sponsors and supporters, Gajada took the opportunity to invite the public to Saturday's event.
I'm really praying that the people will really come out and allow their voices to be strengthened, so that they too can really speak out. You know, we are dragging this thing, you know, of abuse, sexual abuse, you know, molestation, all these things under the carpet for too long, you know. But they say, you know, Trinidad, you know, Trinidad gone through, or look what happening to St. Vincent, all this rape and all this thing is happening, you know, but we want to say that, you know, we thank God that the ugly head is coming up, you know, so we will know now how to deal with it, you know. So many, you know, pedophiles, and they are being exposed right now, you know, so we need to rise up and deal with it.
Stay with us, Carnival Beat is coming right up.
All right.
Welcome to Carnival Beat. The Melbourne Artisans Mass Band will be paying tribute to some of this nation's mass icons as they present Dedicated to Memories for Vincy Mass 2018. Deputy Band Leader Cleopatra Weeks said, despite the many hindrances the mass band has encountered over the years, it remains a force to be reckoned with, and assured SVG-TV's Nikita Tony that this year will be no different.
Seen as a legend in the Vincy Mass arena, the Melbourne Artisans Mass Band is giving mass lovers a look into the past as they present for 2018 Vincy Mass, dedicated to memories. Located in the Rose Place community, the Mass Band, headed by the renowned junior Melbourne Constance, has sought to stamp its name as a top competitor in the annual King and Queen of the Bands competition. Deputy Band Leader Cleopatra Weeks told SVGTV News that over the years, the band has faced numerous challenges, including working in deplorable conditions to get their productions completed, but she is confident that Melbourne Artisans will make it among the top ranks this year.
We don't have much sponsorship, but thanks to the people who give us their little contribution throughout the years, Randy Supermarket, Dr. Ambrose, John Crichton, who do my banner for me every year. It's very difficult for us down here because the smelling is very bad. The atmosphere, the environment, everything ain't working right. We don't have no water, no electricity, and we have been complaining for years, and nothing is being done. It's to Mr. Daniel Cummins, who always leave his light out for us to do our mass underneath the building out there, and we always capturing the king of the bands, and we make it outside on the street.
Weeks said the 2018 production features 7 sections which pay tribute to iconic mass men.
The presentation comes from the 1973 Calypso by the Mighty Sparrow, dedicated to memories. Memorable mass presentation between the years 1959 to 1978. In sections, which is Forces Arrowheads, from the 1969 Indian presentation of the name by Douglas Melville. The second one is Tribute to Roy Ralph, coming from his 1976 presentation, Mass on the Moon. We have our senior sections, which is Young Vikings, from the 1959 Vikings and their Mythology by Edmund Paddy Correa. Sailors Fiesta, from the 1968 production by Walton Tanny Peters and the Stavely Steel Orchestra. Then the African Splendor from 1967 Band of the Year, Extracts from the Dark Continent Bridge Boys, led by Hollis the N. McIntosh Cunningham. Then Fantasies in Circle, 1970 Fantasy presentation by Cassie Marshall, a lieutenant of Selwyn Fuzzy Knights.
The Deputy Band Leader expressed hopes that registration will gain momentum as they move closer to the start of the 2018 festival.
Section is only $125 and the adult is $250, not much. And you know, Melbourne, everybody know Melbourne already, and the famous Cleo, and we have yellow over by this side. Ask any one of us and you get hooked up. Melbourne is a very small mass band, with only at least 5 walkers, 5 major walkers. Some people come in and trip in, they don't know much, but we show them and they learn along the way.
As they celebrate 48 years in the Vincy Mass business, the Melbourne Artisans Mass Band invites one and all to come out and be a part of their celebration. Reporting for Carnival Beats, I am Nikita Tony.